When you look at C5, I want you to think back to how you would have created this drawing on the drafting table. You would not have started by just drawing where all the lines and where all the angles would be. You would start by creating a rectangle, and that rectangle would indicate the height and the width, and that would be how we would center the drawing. So we really need to, and I'm going to move my cursor so you can see, we need to create a rectangle for the outline of this drawing, and then we can do some commands to actually create the shape of it. So if you look at the overall height and width, it's going to be an 8 by 5 rectangle. So we're going to go ahead and go into AutoCAD and use a command that we've done before. We used rectangle before when we created the AT block. So I'm going to do REC, which is the command alias for rectangle, and my first corner is going to be 1, 1. I now have to do the @ symbol because I want to go from the last point. So from the 1, 1, I want to go over a distance of 8 and up 5. So I do 8, 5. And I now have created a rectangle that is 8, 5. Once I have this done, I want to go ahead and offset. So I've got to look and see how far do I need to offset. So from the edge, I want to go over and find where this line is. Same thing here. Now if I look down at the bottom, I can see I've got dimensions. So this says I'm going to go over 3 and then over 2. If you add 3 plus 2, you get 5. Subtract the 5 from 8. I know that this distance is 3. So what I'm going to do to make life easier is offset over 3 on both sides. So if I do O enter, 3 enter, and I try to select the rectangle, you're going to notice that it's not going to allow me to do that. It says cannot offset that object. And it's actually right now trying to offset the entire rectangle. So what I have to do before, just like I did for my title block, is I have to explode. So I'm going to do X, enter, and I'm going to select the objects like it's asking me to do, and hit enter. Now if I do O, enter, 3, enter. If I select this line, I can just click in, and without having to do anything else, if I select this opposite line to the right line, I can go ahead and offset in 3 as well. I hit escape to get out of that command. Now I have to figure out how far do I offset to get my horizontal lines of the drawing. So if I go back, I can see that I need to create this horizontal line. I'm going to offset 1, and I've got to create this horizontal line, and I'm going to offset 1. I can figure out how far to offset down, but it's going to be easier if I use the same distance of 1 and offset from the bottom up and from the top down. So I'm going to do O, enter, 1, enter, select the top line and offset down, select the bottom line and offset up. Once I have this done, I really have a majority of the drawing already created. So now what I'm going to use is trim. Remember when we do trim, we have to enter twice. And then what I can do is go ahead and you can click on the lines. To me, I find it easier and faster just to draw rectangles. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of all these lines. And now I've trimmed, so I've got most of the shape already created. Let's go back and look at the drawing really one more time. The only thing that I really have to do still at this point is to create my angles. And I want you to think back to if we were doing this on the drafting table, what we'd have to do. I would measure down 2 and know where this line was. Measure down 1 and know where this line was. Once I did that, I could use a 45-degree triangle to create this angled line right here. So keep in mind that we're using a distance of 2 and an angle of 45 to create the angle. We're going to do the same thing now in AutoCAD. So our new command for the day, and you may want to go ahead and write this down in your notes, is going to be chamfer. The command alias for chamfer is CHA. Once I hit enter, if you look down the command line, it's going to give you several options. I've got undo, polyline, distance, angle, trim, method, and multiple. Because I'm actually given an angle of 45 on the drawing, and I have a distance, I can really just use the angle option. So I'm going to do CHA, enter, and then I can type in A, enter. Or I could have clicked on angle. And now if you look right next to my cursor, it says specify the chamfer length, and we're going to do the length of 2. And it's going to ask now for the angle, and I'm going to do an angle of 45. Once I do that, I'm going to go ahead and select the lines that I want to chamfer. So if I click this line, if I just hover over on this line, you can see it's already showing me how it's going to be created. If I hit enter again, it's going to automatically allow me to do the chamfer again. Hit enter. And notice it's not going to change if I click on the bottom line or on the horizontal line and then the vertical line versus the vertical line and then the horizontal. And the reason this is because this distance is 2 and this distance is 2, and we can determine that by doing very simple math with 45 or similar triangles. Once my drawing's done, the only thing that I have left to do is add dimensions. So I'm not going to go through how to add all dimensions. You guys know how to do that. The only new thing that I do when I show you with dimensioning is adding an angular dimension. So I'm going to go ahead and change my layer from object to dimension. Go to the Annotate tab, and when I go to the Annotate tab to select dimension, if you see the drop down, I can actually click that and select now angular dimension. So let's assume that you did all of your dimensions on this side of the drawing. There's not going to probably be a lot of room for an angular dimension, but right now if I want to add my dimension, maybe the top corner here or the bottom corner here, all I would have to do is select the angular line and a horizontal line that the angle is touching or referring to. So if I select this horizontal line, I can pull my dimension out. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. So right now I don't have my snap on, but if I hit F9, it will turn on. So I'm going to go from the object, 1, 2, and then 3. Once I've done the third one, I can go ahead and click and snap, and now I have my 45-degree angular dimension. All I have now to do is the rest of my dimensions title block. Once you finish all that, go ahead and print it, upload it to Schoology.